Hey Bowtie Nation, Joseph Hogue here with Bess, the oldest citizen of the nation. We adopted Bess from the shelter about 16 years ago, and we do just about anything for her. And we're not alone. Data from the American Pet Products Association shows that more than 98 million households have a pet in the U.S. alone. That is 2 in 3 households. And even though that's down 16 million from 2021, people are spending more on their pets. Total U.S. spending is expected to reach $151 billion this year, increasing at a 9.2% pace over the last 5 years. That's almost twice the 5.2% annual growth in overall consumer spending. So yeah, just like we treat Bess like a member of the family, nearly 100 million households are doing the same and spending more on their pets every year. And that means higher revenue and returns for smart investors. The 5 stocks I'll highlight today are up an average 59% this year alone and dominate their segment in the market. I'll reveal those 5 stocks along with what to look for in this $200 billion pet care market. First up is one of the largest at $14 billion market cap, online retailer Chewy Inc., ticker CHWY. Chewy brings the pet store to you with over 115,000 products online, including food, pharmacy, and veterinarian services, all shipped to you within 1 to 2 days. That fast delivery is important because when we need Bess's diapers, we need them fast. The e-commerce share of the pets market was 22% last year. That is $28.5 billion spent on pet food and supplies online. That market share is expected to reach 30% of the total by 2030. So with these online-focused names like Chewy, revenue is going to be rising, not just at that overall spending rate, but also as more people go online to shop. Chewy reports over 20 million active customers, with 78% of its net sales through its auto-ship feature, customers that have set up for recurring delivery. So while overall sales growth has slowed to just 4.5% over the last year from double digits over the last few, that auto-ship portion continues to grow. Auto-ship sales grew at 8.3% pace over the last year, meaning Chewy is converting users into more loyal customers and recurring revenue. A slower growth does mean that the company has had to refocus on efficiency, and it's coming through in almost a full % improvement in its adjusted EBITDA margin, that core measure of earnings profitability. So while revenue here may only grow at that expected 5% pace this year and next, earnings are expected to do much better, jumping 82% from the last year through fiscal 2026 to $1.26 per share. Now the stock has come up 70% in the past year, making it a little pricey, so it's not the growth pick of the group, but it is a solid long-term bet on both the pet industry spending and a shift to e-commerce. We're just getting started on our pet stocks list, but finding stocks like these means keeping up with the news. So for that, I want to personally invite you to get the Weekly Bowtie, our free weekly newsletter with all the stock market news, strategies, and trends you need to know. Each week before the market opens, I'll show you what I'm watching and the stocks that could highlight the week. It's all totally free, just something I like to do for all you out there in the community, so look for that sign-up link below. Next up, Freshpet, ticker FRPT, is following the trend into healthier foods into the pet industry with its food and treat services. And we've seen this in our own household as well. While we shop at Walmart for the kids, we care about what Bess eats, so we're willing to spend on the best. That pet food and treats market is the largest segment of the industry at $66.9 billion, 44% of the total, followed by vet and medical services at 26%. And then supplies and other for 21% and 9% of the industry. In fact, added together, food and treats are the largest chunk of a pet owner's average spend, around $431 a month. Only vet visits account for more spending when routine visits and surgeries are combined. At just under $1 billion in annual sales, Freshpet is still a small part of the pet food market, with about 3.5% of the market for dog food, but is growing very quickly. Its products can be found at nearly 28,000 stores, an increase of 1,000 from just last year, and covering 17% of the U.S. households. And in that, the company just reported its 25th straight quarter of over 25% sales growth with volume up 26%, meaning the growth is on quantity, not raising prices, which should help maintain that growth with some price increases down the road. Freshpet updated its full-year guidance recently, raising the sales forecast to $975 million and a 6% improvement in gross profitability. All this means the company has become a cash flow machine, increasing operational cash flow to $104 million from just $39 million last year, allowing it to ramp up those investments in growth. But then it's the profitability at Freshpet that got my attention. Remember where Chewy reported an EBITDA margin of just 4.2%, which is an improvement over its last year. But Freshpet is converting revenue to earnings at a rate of 17.2%, more than 4 times higher profitability. Now granted, their business models are different, but it has very strong profitability that shows why these shares are up 123% just in the last year. This smallest pet stock list is probably the most familiar to you. $1 billion market cap Petco Health, ticker WOOF. With just over 1,500 stores across the United States, Petco is only slightly smaller than the 1,600 store count for PetSmart, but with comparable revenue. Now, as a more traditional retailer compared to the other stocks on this list, growth is going to be slower for Petco with flat revenue growth over the last year, though it's showing some strength in its vet services and grooming business. We take Bess into Petco for her scrub down every few weeks, and at an average cost around $39. It's one of the lowest expenditures for pet owners, but a must for dogs like Bess that hate the bath. Analysts do expect sales to improve next year, but only at a low single-digit pace, though cost-cutting should bring the company back into profitability with an 8 cents per share earnings. Now, that said, while we do love the store, it's probably the weakest stock on the list. The slow revenue growth isn't helping the company move out from under more than $3 billion in balance sheet debt. That could be a problem soon without an aggressive debt payment plan, and the shares aren't especially cheap here on a PE basis. So against that growth we see in these other pet-related stocks, I'm going to keep buying at Petco, but probably investing in the other stocks. At $76 billion market cap, Zoetis Inc., ticker ZTS, is the largest company on our list, but probably the least focused on pets. With over 70 years in the business, Zoetis is the world leader in animal health with its pipeline of medicines, vaccines, and diagnostics for livestock as well as pets. And if you thought it was just your family healthcare getting expensive, pet owners spend an average $605 on routine vet visits and surgeries a year. Now at 16 years old, Bess is on more meds than I am, and they are not cheap. And what drew me to Zoetis, though, is its market dominance in the segment. The company is the number 1 or number 2 provider in most of its verticals by species, product category, and geography. That sets it up for a competitive advantage the company can leverage for growth. And we see that in the company's revenue growth versus its peers. The 8% annual pace of growth has been surprisingly consistent and is 60% higher than the industry average. Now, besides that higher growth, though, a 5% industry growth rate tells me the threat of new entrants and competition in the space is fairly low, and Zoetis should have no trouble protecting that competitive moat. And the company is forecasting similar growth for the industry over the next decade in that 4 to 6% industry growth rate. It's not a high-growth industry, but again, Zoetis should be able to leverage that to maintain maybe an 8% pace of growth. And besides that market dominance, here we see one of the strongest profitability metrics in this group with Zoetis reporting 38% earnings margin. That's leveraging the 8% revenue growth into higher earnings at a pace of 10% growth and more. This next pet stock is up 97% in the last year alone, but even that return can't match the upside to some of the penny stocks I'm following. In fact, the 7 penny stocks in this video are up an average 85% since highlighting them earlier this year, and with 10x potential to go. They're stocks you won't want to miss, so I'll link to that video in the description below. Trupanion, ticker TRUP, is one of the faster growth plays in the pet stocks industry at $2.2 billion market cap, and up 97% over the last year. And we saw earlier how even routine veterinary visits are one of the highest expenses for pet owners, and the cost of surgery or other medical needs can be even higher. So Trupanion is in the middle of this with its monthly subscription service for medical plans for cats and dogs in the US and Canada. That pet insurance market is a growth opportunity in the theme, with over 200 million cats and dogs in North America and 120 million vet visits each year. But surprisingly, it's undeveloped, with just 4% of pet owners carrying some form of insurance, versus as high as 67% in Sweden and 25% in the UK. So as that North American market catches up, maybe not to 67% penetration, but even to 10 or 15%, we're going to continue to see strong growth in this segment. Pet medical insurance has already grown at a 24% annual pace over the 8 years through 2023 into a $4.2 billion market, and Trupanion is the largest provider in the region, contributing more than a quarter of the overall industry growth last year, and has already begun its expansion into global markets with Europe and Australia. Trupanion also plays into one of my favorite business models for companies, one we've already seen on the list here, with its subscription revenue approach. Existing subscriptions are extremely sticky. Once a customer starts paying for a pet insurance, they're probably not going to drop it, so the company has that ever-growing source of revenue. Margin profitability is high here, allowing the company to turn that 15 to 7% expected sales growth into higher earnings growth from a loss of 21 cents a share last year to $1.59 per share gain this year, and 35% growth next year to $2 per share. Stay up to date with all the stock market news, trends, and strategies you need to see with the weekly bow tie. Yours free with the invite link in the description below. Or click on the video to the right to see those 7 penny stocks I'm buying, up an average 85% this year. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.